Hello, everyone. This is W. Last year, I had a very warm and friendly conversation with the dynamic duo, husband and wife, Carl and Catman, from the band Shapes Like People. What struck me most was their love for music. But what really struck me, the love they hold for each other. They just released a sonically inviting new album, Under the Rainbow, and are here to talk about that and much more. Let us welcome them back to the podcast feature known as Surprise Cast. Hello, my friends. How are you?
Hello, W.
Hi, W. How are you?
You know, I'm doing quite well. Nice to see you. How things going now that the album has been released?
It's been a busy week, hasn't it? I've been shipping out records every day, which is great. Lots of physical purchases going on, which we love to see, because that kind of helps spread it around a bit, I think.
I understand you had an album listening party. How'd that go?
That was good fun, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It was hard to keep up, though.
Yeah, you always miss so many of the messages, but we copied and pasted it at the end so we could go back over it, and you realise that there are people on there that you didn't realise were even on there because it goes by so fast.
Yeah. No, that really was a lovely party, and I enjoyed every minute of it. And you are absolutely right. It does go rather quickly, so getting in all those comments, it can be tricky, but definitely worth the experience. We are definitely going to get into this new album, this lovely new album, rich, textured, infectious, all these good things. But before we do, I want to give you an option here. Here we go. Kat, we're going to start with you. You can choose from one of the two. Tell me a moment in your life where any form of art completely shifted your perspective, or what's been inspiring you lately?
Oh, gosh. I think dance was probably that sort of moment of shifting things for me. I grew up taking dance lessons and sort of broadened my horizons with different styles of dancing. And that was really where my love of all of the arts started, because along with the dancing came the music, the singing, all of that sort of thing. And I never took it to a professional level, but it was always something I loved doing growing up. And of course, into adulthood, had to give it away and sort of picked up on it on and off over the years. But I always look back with fondness at that period. And yeah.
Who introduced you to dance?
Funny story, actually.
I love your stories.
Me and my little friends growing up on the same street all used to go to ballet lessons with a lady named Deirdre Tarrant, who just happens to be Brett McKenzie from Flight of the Conchords' mum. This is how small Wellington is. I grew up in New Zealand, so every Kiwi knows every other Kiwi, but Brett's mum was my ballet teacher, and I remember watching, he was, I think, in a class or two above me. He was once a great dancer. I don't know if he still does much dancing. Yeah, that's where it all started, and her love of music as well was always evident in everything we did, all of the shows.
Yeah.
And she ran a company called Footnote Dance as well, where there's a lot of contemporary dance. Yeah.
It's quite funny, actually, because over the years, I'll play you music that I think you've never heard before. And she'll be like, I used to dance to that.
It's so true. But yeah, I mean, all of these different styles of dancing, it started off with ballet and classical music.
Yeah.
Over the years, expanding on that, you sort of get exposed to all styles, and yeah. But it's a lovely way to sort of be completely surrounded by all of the arts, really.
Absolutely. And what did it do for your soul? How did it nurture you?
Oh, I loved it. I was probably terrible. I mean, I've got these fond memories of enjoying it, but I hate to think, looking back, if I ever had to watch any of it on tape now, I'd probably be cringing.
You're still way better at dancing than I am.
Carl only has the indie shuffle in his repertoire, so I'm pretty safe there.
It's a classic move.
And do you feel like it was a good escape for you emotionally?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I loved it. Absolutely loved it. You could put everything else aside go to dancing. And then, of course, as I got older, going out to nightclubs and dancing was a whole nother thing to, you know.
So how do you think your love for dancing has helped you as a musician in any shape, any form?
Wow. I don't know that Carl would rate my dancing in the studio.
No
Not
comment.
an awful lot of dancing that goes on anymore unless it's bad dancing in the lounge or dancing in the kitchen, singing along to things, but doesn't really involve any strategic moves.
But in terms of just you'd have this art form and then shifting it to another art form, did you take that confidence within that art and just move it and apply it somehow?
I wish I could say I did, but I don't think. I mean, when we first started making music together, I was pretty terrified. It's not so bad now. He's used to me being in the studio. But yeah, the confidence levels, especially for the first album, were questionable.
You're nervous, weren't you?
Yeah.
You didn't know what to expect, did you really?
I didn't know how bad he'd think I was.
I don't think so. Okay, Carl, what about for you? Which one do you want to do? You want to talk about a moment in your life or what's been inspiring
I'm going to
you
choose
lately?
the moment in your life as well. Rather obvious, I'm going to talk about an album. My whole life has been kind of music from as early as I can remember, so it's probably always going to be an album. And I can choose many albums. It could be when I discovered the Smiths in the 80s, that was a pivotal point of change. But I'm actually going to choose an album from 1995. So there could be many albums at different periods, but I'm going with this one. It was kind of in the height of Britpop.
Yeah.
And a band called Sparklehorse, you probably know,
Oh, yes.
released their first album, Viva Dixie Submarine Transmission Plot. And at this point, I was kind of getting a bit tired of the cartoon element of Britpop. But what this album did for me, it changed my whole thinking with music, that there are no rules. There don't have to be rules. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to go into the studio and think, right, we need to make sure we can record something that we can play live. You can go into the studio and use it as a tool and make the best record you can make with the tools you've got available, which I guess is, what bands like XTC and the Beatles did when they stopped gigging. They just used the studio as a tool to make the best records they could without that restriction of how do we do this live. And that's what Sparklehorse opened up for me. And also that music, to be powerful, it doesn't have to be loud and fast.
Yes.
It can be fragile and beautiful and even more powerful because of that. And I think I really needed that album when it came out, because I was reaching a point where I was a bit disillusioned with all the music going on at the time. I loved Britpop, but I got to the end of the road with it. And the timing of that when it came out, and I think a friend gave it to me and I listened to it a few times and that was enough. I was hooked. And it's a band I will take to the grave now, absolutely love them.
You mentioned Britpop.
Yeah.
And I may have mentioned the last time we spoke. I was there in 94 when His and Hers came out by Pulp. Oasis just hit the scene. Blur were kind of duking it out. It was such a special time in my life, traveling abroad for the first time, flying from the nest. And I will never forget those 3 months in London, that voracious appetite that people had for Brit.
It was incredible for a few years there. Yeah.
So tell us more about that.
So at the time, I was in my first band. We had a record deal. We were called West Pier. And we were living in London. We were hanging out in Camden every night, partying with all the Britpop gang. And that's, towards the end of that period was when the Sparklehorse album came into my life. And it just kind of added width to everything I did going forward musically, I think. And it kind of opened me up to a whole new kind of genre of bands. I mean, I don't even know what genre you would call Sparklehorse apart from alternatives. They're sort of genre defined. But I think it sort of led me into a bit of Americana as well. And I think Beck was doing some sort of Americana stuff then. But then I discovered the Jayhawks and Wilco, and it might have been Uncle Tupelo first. I don't know. But yeah, it led me to sort of expand away from that Britpop thing, which was kind of coming to an end towards the, late 90s. And I think the music in the UK then seemed to be a bit lost at the end of the 90s. And I was certainly going more to bands like Mercury Rev and Fountains of Wayne and who do I think of? Flaming Lips even.
Flaming Lips, yeah.
Yeah, lots of those bands, and Spoon, and, Spoon were probably a bit later, weren't they? I can't remember when Girls Can Tell. I can't remember what year that was out, but yeah, it led me to lots more Americana kind of flavored bands. And yeah, it was an album that I needed at the time, I think.
What was the statement, in your opinion, the Britpop statement these artists were trying to make?
I think it was an identity thing.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it was a reaction to maybe grunge.
Oh, yeah.
Like, America's got this. What have we got? And for me, it started with Blur and Suede. Blur's Modern Life is Rubbish and Suede. And, I don't think they consciously thought we're doing a Britpop thing. It was just their own way of being a kind of homegrown band with influences that were British, really. Yes. I mean, the term, some people don't like the term Britpop now because it makes them think of the cartoon era that came a bit later. But there were some fantastic bands that came out of that period, like Gene and, all those bands, so many. And Pulp were amazing.
Well, you also had The Verve, Elastica.
Yeah.
The list goes on and on. And there's that movie, Trainspotting, which I feel like really kind of pushed.
It was a part of it, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
That fabric. Yeah. And, I know we could go on and on about the Britpop scene. And I've spoken to a few musicians where they were immersed in it and glad to get out of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think so.
Yeah.
It sort of run its course.
Right. Okay. Kat, I want to read you this quote by Etta James. She says this: I like my music to be real. I don't want it to be perfect. I want it to be honest. Tell the listeners and me, when do you feel like music stopped just being a hobby, started to kind of take over your life a little bit more?
About 2 weeks ago.
Well, I think when we made the first record, it felt very much like a hobby because it was like, okay, let's try this out. Don't really know what's going to come of it. Just sing some songs. With this new one, the pressure was there. It's like the expectation had been set. Carl doesn't really do an average follow-up. Like, he never wants to have just a level playing field follow-up. It's always got to be 10 times better. We're not doing this, we're not doing that. And on the previous record, we'd released a couple of singles before we even had a record finished. This time round, we had 16 tracks to choose from because he's like, we need more than we want. And then we're going to pick the 12, which of course just basically became a debate. So we had 16. There were 2 that I really liked that he didn't want on the record and vice versa. And it sort of became this whittling down process. This time round, it's felt like less of a hobby because it's got a purpose.
Right.
That said, who knows what he's going to do next? It might stay a hobby forever.
Okay. So in terms of this new album and you feeling like, okay, now I've kind of emerged and arrived, right? How do you think that experience has changed you?
Wow.
Do you feel more
I'm looking at him because I'm going, I'm not sure much has changed.
But do you feel more confident in your vocal work or lyrics?
Yeah, and I think a lot of that has to do with Carl writing this record, knowing that I was going to be singing on it. The previous one we started as a bit of a pitch for other people.
Yes.
I only ever thought I was going to be singing on 4 demos and that was my bit done. Whereas this time round, it's been almost easier for me because the first record really established where I'm comfortable, stay in my lane, all of that sort of thing. This one, there were very few notes that I couldn't hit, which was really nice.
I've worked out, W, that I don't give her anything higher than a B2. Anything higher than that, I get a punch in the face.
I told you, listeners, they love each other.
It's an affectionate, endearing punch.
Yes,
you know.
absolutely.
It's a hearty slap.
It's usually more like, I can't sing that, change the note.
Yeah.
You fucker.
Yeah.
I mean, at least we're still having fun doing it, right?
Yeah.
You are. And that's, I think that's very palpable for people that know you. And like I said at the listening party, that was very, very clear. Okay. So what about for you, Carl? When did music just really stop being a hobby and it was really slithering through your veins and you were thinking about it all the time and really started to grab hold of your life?
I think I was probably about 19 years old. I didn't learn to play guitar until I was about 16, I don't think.
Mm-hmm.
And I never had a lesson. I kind of taught myself just by sheer grit and hours and hours of trying to come up with little parts and things myself. But and when I was about 19, we had our first band, West Pier. And then we got a record deal. And the addiction to music really was consuming then and took over. And ever since then, it's almost like a disease and it's a way of life now and it's the air I breathe.
Yeah.
Seriously think it was around about that age. And it's kind of, it's as important as having coffee or breakfast now to me.
Yes. It's a lifeline, right?
Yeah.
And I can't remember, were your parents, when you were younger, were they kind of pushing music onto the family?
My mum was always massively into music. And yeah, I mean, that's where I kind of heard all those jangly guitars to start with the Hollies and the Byrds and the Beatles. And, those were the records I grew up with. And apparently, from the age of 4, I used to get the records out and have them on start playing them. But they'd be all over the floor in the lounge with, chocolatey fingers on the vinyl and stuff. And, it makes me cringe to think of that now.
I was going to say, you'd be having kittens if Jack got all of our records out with chocolatey fingers now.
Yeah.
Gloves on.
Yeah.
What about for you, Kat, in terms of your kind of experience with music when you were younger?
I mean, most of the music played in my home. I remember my grandfather having things like Elvis on the go and my mum. And then my dad was a big fan of movie soundtrack stuff. But the bulk of the music I listened to was probably through dance lessons.
Okay.
Right through, through my teenage years in particular and going out dancing. The minute I was old enough to go out dancing, and Wellington's quite a small city, but we did have some pretty cool places to go. And Carl's always surprised when I know these obscure kind of indie songs. How do you know this stuff? I remember dancing to this as a teenager, and he's like, in New Zealand. Yes. So apparently we did actually have some cool indie clubs that I didn't know they were cool indie clubs back then, but someone in Wellington was playing some good tunes when I was growing up.
It would be something like the Chills Kaleidoscope World. And she'd be like, yeah, you used to dance to that. I'm like, yeah, they did things different in New Zealand, didn't they?
Oh, rest in peace, Martin Phillips. Rest in peace. I miss that band quite a bit. I mean, the incredible music, particularly through the record label Flying Nun Records. That could be a 2-hour podcast.
Yeah.
And with your love of music, you also went to a few shows, yeah?
Yeah. Anything you could possibly get your hands on.
Yeah.
I mean, way down there, well, we didn't used to get as many big acts. And I remember when I first came to the UK as an adult-ish, 18, 19, just the number of gigs going on with big name bands that had never set foot in New Zealand. I'm like, I'm going to Bjork, I'm going to the Rolling Stones, I'm going to Oasis. Anything I could go to, I was going to, because we just didn't have them. People wouldn't travel that far.
No, but you would go pretty far to see a Michael Jackson concert.
Damn it, you remember?
For all the listeners, just please retell that story. It is so good.
Well, I wasn't really a naughty teenager, but I did want to see Michael Jackson, and I knew if I didn't go that I'd never get another chance. So
Yeah.
jumped in the car with the boyfriend and his mates, drove all the way up the country, went to Michael Jackson, and got out of there as quick as I could. But I made the mistake of being photographed and caught on the front page of the New Zealand newspaper the following morning. So the little tale I'd told my parents, unfortunately, backfired.
Yeah. Well,
I think they've forgotten about it.
yeah, I mean, and this is long before social media took over.
Yeah, so just my luck that I get
Just
busted
your
on the
luck.
front page of the, old school newspaper that everybody used to get delivered.
So you get home and you think that you're going to be able to play this off. And was it mom or dad that held up the newspaper?
Oh, my mum had warned me, but it was more the confiscation of the car keys that was the punishment that really, I stitched myself up there.
Yeah.
You do these things when you're young.
Well, I know.
Now that we're raising a child, it's kind of terrifying because I hate to think between what Carl and I were like as teenagers, we're kind of destined to have our hands full with the same behavior and we'll have to deal with it.
Yeah, I was just going to say there are people listening going, yeah, I remember those days and now I'm dealing with my son or daughter. Absolutely. Okay.
Oh, never finds out what things we used to get up to.
We won't talk about those in the podcast.
No.
But we're going to talk about this brand new album.
Throwing paper planes in the morning sun, planting up the seeds to grow some love, nurturing the way to liberty, knocking on the feast from square.
And I want to read a quote here. This comes from The Big Takeover magazine. What a magazine this has been for so many people, so many years. Jack Rabbit and Company, thank you for all the great work that you've done. But here's the quote. I can't totally put my finger on it, but Shape's music just get into the bloodstream and crosses the blood-brain barrier. It's a whole body transfusion. Even on songs when they lyrically speak to tough subjects like Daisy, Carl and Kat convey something vital, relatable, and affirming about what it is to be alive, dealing with the shit as well as the good stuff, and doing it with the one you love. REM pun. Sorry. All right. So tell the listeners, what was the emotional tone? What were you trying to capture? Go for it.
You want to take that one?
I think, it always has been for me, and I think you're the same. It's about human experience, isn't it? And it's got to be about something we've actually experienced rather than we just need words for a song. It's got to be something that holds an emotion for us, and is real, and that other people may, whether it be slightly ambiguous, but someone can find their own meaning in it. But yeah, it's all drawn upon real experience, isn't it?
Life experience.
Yeah, human, which we need more than ever.
Yes, absolutely. And I know artists, musicians get that type of question asked very often. But I would also like to ask this question. In terms of maybe thematic approach or concerns, is that something you two talked about before? Or these things just kind of evolve whilst making the album? Did you sit down and go, all right, for this next album, we want to blah, blah, blah?
I think the one conscious thing was that we needed to draw upon more experiences than maybe we did on Ticking Haze. Ticking Haze was a little bit kind of love song heavy, if you like. So this album, I think the only conscious decision was, let's kind of approach some more trickier things, that, could be from the past, before we even met, and different things, just to give it a bit more meat on the lyric front and variety, I think.
We didn't start out with a theme. And,
No.
you had some seeds for lyrics floating around. I had a couple floating around.
Yeah, 3 of the songs Kat wrote the lyrics for. My Paradise, Rhythm, and Daisy. All your lyrics, aren't they?
One track, you were a bit worried that the lyrics were a bit too dark and depressing. And at first I was kind of like, yeah, this is a bit depressing. And then we thought about changing them. We did actually try to change them. And I was like, actually, this doesn't work. It's better with the dark lyrics. And yes, it can sound a little bit depressing, but then I think that's relatable too.
But it's kind of, it's Life of Time, I think you're talking about, isn't it? But it's with a song that's kind of got a joyous pop melody. So there's kind of the counterbalance in ways,
But why did you feel, Carl, that it was too dark?
I don't know. I guess because it was maybe from a different period in my life, and it may not be relevant now. And probably I felt like it was maybe a different person than who I am now that wrote those lyrics.
Okay.
So I don't know. I sort of struggled in my head a bit with it, but then Kat said it's fine to do that. And it's just, it's a day in your diary, basically.
One of the things I enjoy while speaking with musicians and learning more about kind of the experiences they had whilst making an album, a story or two that kind of popped up that obviously they weren't aware that was going to happen. So are there any standout stories whilst making this album that you can recall?
We've had a few entertaining moments, haven't we?
Yeah.
We've had daft moments trying to make music videos in the middle of a storm.
Finds me there. Well, both of us look back at that day fondly now, but it was kind of crazy.
Insanity on a lunch break.
You watch the video and it looks really calm and floaty and dreamy, but in reality, it was a kind of raging storm.
It was freezing cold, chucking it down. Carl had fallen over in about 20 puddles that were at least 2 feet deep.
There was dog poo everywhere.
It was disgusting, and we literally did 2 takes, and then we had to get back in the car soaked through and race home to tip all of the water out of our shoes. I ruined a really good pair of boots. So it's silly things like that.
But I think it's a memory that we'll always look back on with fondness, because it was actually good fun, wasn't it, when you look back and, it's always there on the video now.
Right. Yeah.
And, we spent a $5 on a silly Supergirl toy that we were flinging around in our garden on a piece of fishing line with a broom.
Wearing our pajamas at 9 a.m.
Because we had to do it before I started work.
I told you before we hit record, that song was been playing in my head all morning long. So tell the listeners, no. Tell the listeners why. Why did you choose that? Okay, it's a great version.
So Kat's working on the movie, which is just about, you've almost finished, haven't you, working on the movie?
Yeah.
And we'd had a few drinks, haven't we? And I was like...
We were down at our local brewery and he was taking the mickey going, got this mad idea, we should do a cover of Superman. And of course, when you've had a couple, you go, genius idea, and then forget about it. And the next morning, I think I was in the kitchen and I could hear him up here tinkering away. And I was like, I know what he's doing.
Yes.
So of course, we had to change the lyrics. And then we were like, well, we can't release this unless we get permission. So that started the whole exploring, trying to get any kind of clearance to release it, which we actually did do in the end, which was brilliant, because I'm not a fan of ripping off anything creative without the proper paperwork in place. But yeah, it went from being a mad idea at the pub to a reality about 2 days later.
Yeah. It was good fun to do and enjoyed it.
It's quite fast.
Do you know if anyone from REM has actually heard it? No.
No.
Okay.
Wouldn't have a clue.
Wouldn't know how to get it to them.
Michael Stipe, if you're listening to this, Mike Mills, Bill Berry, Peter Buck,
Mm.
we want to know your opinion. Oh, it's so good. Love it.
Do you like the original by the Clique?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a bit slower, isn't it? It's a bit more kind of, and it's
Yeah.
really messy, but in a beautifully chaotic way.
Yes.
It's so cool, and I can see why REM fell in love with that song.
For your version, I love the vocals.
It's really hard to sing. It's so fast. We had a few giggles with that one, and without a vocal guide,
Yeah.
I mean, I was going absolutely mad with the timing, wasn't I?
Yes,
Oh my God,
she
it's everything's on the offbeat.
She was swearing at me a little bit, W. Yeah, she did swear. I was kind of like that Trogs moment in that outtakes thing. I was like, it's on the offbeat every time.
You can tell we work so well together.
I know. I have to remind everyone that you guys love each other dearly. Are there any tracks that you would like to talk about? Anything kind of emotional resonance to them?
I mean, they've all got a story, haven't
They've
they?
all got something, haven't they, with us? I mean, I was going to mention Crushing Silence because it's one. I guess to people listening, if they want to listen to the lyrics, it's quite dark, but it's not about my relationship with a person. It's about my relationship with music.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm not making music, it is a crushing silence. If I have a period when I'm not being creative, I kind of suffocate, don't I?
You're a pain in the ass.
She knows. She knows.
Is that the addiction that we're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's my drug.
But Carl, people that are listening to this podcast and know you can easily relate to that, who need to be creating things at all times. There's this isolation feeling when they don't do these things.
Plus, he'll start doing things like laundry, which is just a disaster. And so I will be the first person to go, oh God, please go upstairs and pick up a guitar because you are driving me nuts. You create non-stop now, don't you? I mean, we've just finished a record and he's already halfway through the next one. So that doesn't really stop anymore, does it?
No.
Maybe for a week during the school holidays, but generally it's an ongoing thing and you might put something down and pick up something else. But
I mean,
the
cogs are always turning and
yes,
always chipping away at something.
Yes.
Whether it becomes something or not, that's a different thing, but there's always something.
It's funny because sometimes I'm up at 2 or 3 in the morning and I'll email a guest that's going to be on the show, or I'll be putting together digital posters. And the response sometimes is, da-da-da-da-da-da, what are you doing up at 2 or 3 in the morning, W? And my wheels are spinning. I'll just wake up and like, oh, I've got this for an idea. Oh, I want to reach out to this artist, whatever it is. I want to edit. I know how to edit.
Yeah. And that kind of mind doesn't fit in with a 9 to 5 work time. There's no switch off.
No.
And there's not an on switch as well. So sometimes it's like you can't get started. You can't find the on switch,
The valve does not shut off. Okay, so what about for you, Kat? Is there a song that you'd like to go a little bit deeper into?
I mean, they've all got something. They've all got a story, which
Yes.
is really lovely. And I think we touched on a few in the listening party. Be Okay is a favourite of mine because I feel like everyone can relate to that song. And it's kind of like, oh, it's at the end of the record. I really hope it gets the airtime it deserves because I think it's beautiful. But yeah, I mean, having a go at writing lyrics for a couple of songs. And of course, some genius said to me that you write about what you know. And of course, two of them ended up being songs about Carl and, you know, how we fit together in our lives. And you end up writing love songs, which is totally cheesy, but there you go.
But, you know, if it's the most human thing, isn't it? It's the meaning of life. And if people can't relate to a love song, then have we any hope?
Yeah. All right. Well, one of the things I would say that I love about this new album is the varying tempo, the varying mood changes that come about. And I am almost certain you two have spent hours pouring into the sequencing of these songs. Am I right? She's
It's
pointing.
all Carl's domain.
Yeah, so there's the three tracks that triangulate the album for me are Spiral Back in Time, Finds Me There, and Be Okay.
Mm.
So we sort of bookended the album with Spiral Back in Time and Be Okay, and Find Me There is somewhere in the middle. And I think that was the first point of sequencing the position of those three tracks. And then everything else just kind of fell into place
Yeah.
around that, really.
You're quite particular about your order of tracks. I stay out of that, W.
It's an evolving thing as well, though, because there are so many ways you can do it, and you can kind of go like upbeat, heavy on the first side of an album, especially in the current times, because with digital streaming, people might only listen to 3 songs, 4 songs of your album before they move on to the next thing. And, you know, so a lot of people generally go heavy on the front end, the tracks 1 to 4. But I didn't want to do that. I wanted to make an album that's got surprises in side 2 or near the end and balance it, really. Because I'm all about the album.
That's the word. It's very well balanced. And like I just alluded to earlier, I know you did come out, and do that on a whim. I know you spent a lot of time thinking about that. In terms of the song Daisy, if you don't mind, do you want to go a little bit more into that? I know it's a very difficult subject matter, but I feel like it's an important one, but it's totally up to you.
Yeah. I mean, Daisy was definitely an important one for us, but I think it's become really relatable for many, many more people than you might know. And it's about the loss of a pregnancy, which statistically so many people go through. And I remember when we went through it, so many people that we knew came out of the woodwork and said, oh, the same thing happened to us. And we had no idea that half of our friends had actually been through the same thing.
At the time, though, we felt so alone, didn't we? It felt like we were dealing with this on our own. And
it was we didn't really have the coping mechanism. We were so excited. We told everybody. It ended up being a really messy miscarriage, which was horrible for everybody.
But we were so ready to have a child, weren't we? And it was a dream. And both of us, at that point in our lives, we were a bit older. I think we never thought we'd have a child, and we met each other, and it became possibility, didn't it? And it meant so much to us that it was heartbreaking.
It was, and we were devastated, and we really didn't know how to cope with it. And it took us quite a long time to try again, as I know it does many people, but we didn't really say goodbye or deal with it very well.
Mm-hmm.
And when Carl was having a bit of I'm struggling with lyrics for this track. Here, can you do it?
I think I went to the pub. I went to the pub to meet a friend, and I came home, and Kat said, I've got the lyrics to this song. She's like, play the track and sing these words. And we were in the kitchen, and I put it on the Bluetooth speaker, I think, and played the track and sung this piece of paper she handed to me, and I was just in tears. It was like, oh my God, that's incredible.
I was a bit nervous about how he might react, because it's always been it's been something for us where we've always wanted to do something, but didn't really know what. It's not like we have ashes or a funeral or anything to say goodbye. And I was like, actually, this is a really nice way for us to have some closure, but also
Remember.
to share it with other people and remember.
Yes.
And I think now I love that song, and it will always have a really special place, but I hope it will have a special place for lots of people. Someone else's Daisy might be, it's one of those songs that people will always go back to and speaks to loads more people than you think.
Absolutely. And going through those experiences, as challenging and arduous as they are, I think for some people, they emerge with more empathy, more sensitivity towards others. And I'm not saying that was for you. I'm just saying that with that kind of an experience, it can bring those things on. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I dread to think what would happen if I tried to sing that live, because every time I do try and sing it, I'm a bit like welling up.
Oh, same.
But I'm also really proud of it because it is a tough subject and people don't talk about it, and it's kind of crap that people don't talk about it.
Yeah.
Because nobody really normalizes those sorts of things. And then as couples, if you're going through that, you end up just latching onto each other and not letting go because you don't know what else to do. And it's like, you feel like you've failed yourself, you've failed your partner, your body's failed you, everything's fallen apart. And, we went through a period of not knowing whether we would try again because I was getting older. I know you fellas can keep going forever making babies, but, us girls run out of bloody time. But, we really thought long and hard about giving it another go. And I think we both sort of said, if we do give it another try and we fail, we're not going to keep trying, because we knew we were getting older. And we were like, we don't want to be parents, like new parents in our late 40s. So we sort of put a bit of a timeline on it. And we had a few scares with Jack when I was pregnant with Jack, but we got there.
I'm glad we did, because I think I'm misfiring now.
You didn't know you were signing up for all this information, did you?
Well, 52 in a week now, W.
But yeah, I'm really
I need to
proud
get my plugs cleaned.
Tiny dream lost before we ever got to meet you. While you remained, we gave you a name. We fell in love all over again. Wish you were here, Daisy, a hole that can't be filled. Wish you were here, Daisy.
So what is Under the Rainbow?
So for me, Under the Rainbow is this beautiful village we found ourselves living in. It's literally like when I came to view houses, you sent me off, didn't you, you found some houses to look at. And I came into this village, and it's just out the other side of the New Forest. And it literally is under a rainbow. And we absolutely adore it here, don't we? And yeah, it's kind of about the life that we found here, I think, that song.
Right.
And the balance.
And the balance,
It keeps coming back to balance.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Now, it's a great album. You should be very proud of yourselves. Is there anything else you want to say about the album that we haven't discussed? Any shout outs to anybody?
Everyone listening, everyone buying records, preferably on Bandcamp instead of on listening on Spotify.
Yeah, and I'd like to give a shout out to all the artists and bands that are doing it for themselves at the moment, because it's a really, really tough environment right now with AI, and everyone wants to take your money if you're a band or musician. Everyone, they want to do a TikTok dance for you, but they'll charge you for it. They want to promote you here, there, and everywhere, but charge you for it. everyone wants your money right now.
Yeah.
So any DIY band that is managing to make an album and put it out there, you've got to take your hats off to them and try and support them. And that's why I think it's more important than ever now to normalize sharing Bandcamp links rather than Spotify links, all those things.
Yeah.
But yeah, any other shout outs?
Definitely not to Royal Mail. That's the one gripe we've had is, really want your record. Why is the postage so expensive?
I've heard that.
We've got a few, there's political issues that probably don't help with that.
Yeah.
Sure.
The joys of all of it.
Billy Corgan from Smashing Pumpkins says this: albums are emotional documents. They are less about technique and more about honesty. Where does that sit with you?
Music has to be about feeling and emotion and honesty. And there is no formula to get it right, really, is there? And if there was, we'd all be reading a book and knocking out smash hits or whatever. But what is a smash hit? One man's junk is another man's treasure.
Right.
So it's got to be about honesty and connection, hasn't it?
But as an artist, as a musician, were there times in the making of this that you felt you were being a little dishonest with yourself, that you were maybe starting to sound a little bit too much like somebody else, and you had to pull back a little?
I think when making music, there's always those moments.
Okay.
And you can vouch for this, probably like 500 tracks shelved as demos because one reason or another, I've pulled back from them and gone, that's not right, or it could sound like something else or whatever, but I've pulled back from them. But then I might revisit them at a later stage and there might just be one snippet or seed, which actually a couple of the tracks on Under the Rainbow were, I revisited old demos, didn't I? And Be Okay in Life of Time. And it's like the melody or something. And you go, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There's only so many notes. I mean, my vocal has been compared to all sorts of other singers. Carl's guitar playing has been compared to all sorts of other guitarists. I don't think there's really any avoiding that these days because there's so much music out there. And in a way, like we listen to music we love, and Carl has music that he loves that he won't even put on unless I'm in bed, and probably vice versa.
She wouldn't like it.
But I think you do take your influences from listening to stuff that you love and finding new stuff that you love. And it's nice to hear new music and sit down and listen to something where you go, I love this and I love the whole album. You don't always get that. But when you do, it's like, oh, this is a treat. Every single track is great.
I think ultimately you're just trying to create something that sounds like you.
Yes.
And subconsciously, I probably have a million influences somewhere stored in the server when I'm writing, and I'm not consciously pulling on those. They're there, coming out in different various shapes and forms and sounds and styles. But ultimately, what we do together just sounds like Shapes Like People.
Yeah. Right. I would wholeheartedly agree. And that's the beauty of your music and many of the bands that I love. There's something I can go, oh, that reminds me of blah, blah, blah. But they still have their unique identity and voice.
Yeah, but I think we all do that. And everyone you play music to will instantly go, that reminds me of. Sure. And it'll be the three bands they know that maybe sounds vaguely similar to that. And you play it to someone else and it'll be a different three bands that they know that sound vaguely similar to that style.
Yeah.
It's always, drawing upon your own familiar kind of bits that are in your locker, in your server.
Right.
I did that to you recently with something. You had a little riff going on and I was trying to think of what the song was. Do you remember?
XTC.
I'm like, I know this song. And he's like, no, you don't, because I just wrote it.
Yeah,
I'm like trying to figure out, and I'm terrible with song names and artists.
Was it Making Plans for Nigel? I think you said this track I'm working on, it reminds you a bit of Making Plans for Nigel.
Except I didn't know the words, so I was kind of trying to explain to him humming.
I'm like, yeah, I don't know what you mean.
And this is why I suck at any kind of music quiz nights, because I don't know who the artist is. I don't know the lyrics, but I know how it goes.
But she used to dance to it.
Okay. All right, let's soldier through a couple more questions here. I want to read another quote. This is by Bob Marley, and he says this: "You never know how strong you are until being strong is your only choice." So if either of you would like to answer this question, what critical moment in life forced you to rethink who you are, either as an artist or a person?
Can I go first on this one? This is going to sound really cheesy, but when I met Kat is that point, because at that time I was in a really self-destructive mode. I'd come out of a long-term relationship and I was going downhill really fast. And then Kat came into my life, and that forced me to rethink who I was, where I was going. And fortunately, she managed to keep hold of me and tame me and change my life direction, really.
I did give you a bit of a foot up the arse, to be honest.
You did give me a kick up the arse, yeah.
I'm like, if you want to stick around, get your act together.
Yeah.
But it was, a massive fork in the road. And I truly believe to this day that meeting Kat saved my life.
Wow.
And here we are making music together now.
But again, you're saying something I think people can relate to, and probably shaking their head just as I just did right there. But yes, people come in our lives and they shake the shit out of our lives and force us to really think about our actions and our behavior and other things.
I mean, we hadn't known each other that long before you said to me, let's go to New Zealand and live. And it was kind of like, that means like literally stopping, giving up my job I had at the time, stopping everything and just going, a leap of faith. And it just felt 100% the right thing to do. And that's what we did, wasn't it? And came back with a child.
At least you got something out of that.
Yeah.
Big heavy accident. No, I mean, when we met, I think because we'd both come out of long-term relationships and we were sort of like, no, don't want a boyfriend, don't want a girlfriend. I think that lasted about 3 hours because we'd sort of, after about a week after we met, we'd sort of...
Apparently she had her eye on me. She'd seen me like a couple of weeks before. I had no idea of this.
I did.
Oh,
I was walking home. I used to walk home with some friends from work, and there was a pub across the road from my flat that we used to stop at for a drink, like Friday nights. We'd walk home in the summer. We'd all sit there and have a jug of sangria or something. And I remember telling one of my colleagues, Carl was sitting at a table full of blokes across from us. And I was like, Caitlin, guy in the black jacket, hot. And she was pissing herself. I think we'd had a few. And I was like, and I think we got chatting to you that same evening. But then a week later, I had to pick my mum up from the airport. She was coming to the UK and we'd all been on it all night long. So I had to go to Heathrow and I was still drunk. But I went to the airport and told my mum that I'd met the man I was going to marry.
Are you serious?
I'd only known him for like 48 hours.
And you knew?
Yeah. And I think she just went, great, my adult daughter has arrived at the airport to pick me up after not seeing me for 100 years. She's drunk and she thinks she's met the man she's going to marry. And here we are.
And there was no Michael Jackson song involved.
No. There was no Beat It.
But yeah, it was all...
a thriller.
Yeah.
We're going to go down that lane, huh? Oh, man, this could get really bad. I'm sorry, listeners. No, I'm not. This is an authentic interview. All right, Kat, what about for you, a critical moment?
Oh, there've been quite a few. I mean, obviously, meeting this ratbag.
That's an affectionate term, yeah.
Yes.
The whole thing's gone pear-shaped. After me confessing my undying love a week after I met you. I think there's been so many moments, and, we're all shaped by the experiences we have growing up, and young adulthood is such a great window for that. We do lots of stupid things and probably regret some of them. Yeah. I mean, I've had a fairly diverse upbringing. I've been really fortunate that I've been able to travel, which is one of my lifelong passions. Love languages, would love to see more of the world. Started a bucket list. But, yeah.
Okay. All good. All good. I asked you to come to this conversation with a concert stub, a ticket, or a piece of memorabilia merch for you to talk about.
We've covered Michael Jackson. You're taking this one.
Carl, I know you've been to so many shows, and I'm sure you have some memorabilia, some merch lying around.
Okay, so I'm going to pick a gig which was in Brighton, and it was termed Day Tripper, and it was Ride and the Charlatans.
Oh.
So they did like a kind of a co-headline. So they played in Blackpool and Brighton, and I think the Charlatans headlined Brighton, and then Ride headlined Blackpool. And I was probably 18 or 19, and it was just the most incredible gig ever. Two bands that I absolutely loved, right at their peak.
Yes.
Absolutely at their peak. And I think seeing Ride play Leave Them All Behind for the first time with the strobe lights on and this incredible wall of sound, it was just like the most high you could feel at a gig, really. It was just otherworldly. And and that was, part of that period, formative years where music became a way of life for me, I think, and became an absolute necessity. I have to do this.
Yeah. And that's such a great memory there, particularly with those two bands, because they are so different from one another in terms of their sound. So you get the wall of sound. And I always feel like with the Charlatans, you get that wall of groove.
Yes,
right?
The groove. Yeah.
Yes.
That Hammond and bass groove.
Yes.
Which was very prominent in what they were doing around that time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Incredible.
Yes. Oh, that's a good one. Okay. What about for you, Kat? You want to talk about a concert or some merch or memorabilia that you might have in your possession?
I don't have a lot of that anymore.
Okay.
I think from moving so much when I was younger, I didn't get to hang on to anything as such. I've ended up with lots of really terrible movie T-shirts.
You've got loads of movie memorabilia, haven't you, from working on shows and stuff?
I haven't. Yeah.
You've got some really interesting movie memorabilia, like Alan Lee stuff from Lord of the Rings and King Kong stuff. And
oh, wow.
Yeah,
Avatar
over the years, not really music related. More just with my line of work, it's always something that at the end of a show, everyone's always like, grab the T-shirt or get the baseball cap.
The crew goodies. Yeah.
I used to think I'd nick off with some of his band T-shirts, but I don't think they'll fit anymore. And Jack's got his eye on them. So I think we'll have a teenager who's rummaging through all of his old band T-shirts, and they'll be really cool by the time Jack's about 16.
Yeah.
Probably full of holes, but that'll still be cool.
I'm just dreading the time when he goes, like, can I have your records before I'm dead? Can you imagine if I'm still alive and he wants my records? How do you deal with that one?
He'll be wanting to flog them all off for the money.
Yeah, you don't let him touch that My Bloody Valentine original pressing.
Yeah. I'm just waiting for the day where he comes up to me and says, like, Dad, have you ever heard this band? They're really cool. You probably haven't heard of them because you're like old, but they're like the Smiths.
Yeah.
Have you heard of them?
We have friends who have been through that recently with their kind of older teenagers, and they're discovering music that was cool when we were young, and they think they've just discovered some amazing band. And then they find out that their parents listened to all of this stuff and went to the concerts and all the rest of it. And it's so good.
Or they're finding this music through Instagram Reels.
Yes. Yeah. TikTok. Yeah. It's amazing now because I read something today, I think it was, where someone said, like, there was no decade like the 90s to live through. And part of me was going like, yeah, I agree. But actually, you're best to be young now because you've got the 90s and everything that come before, but you've also got the 2.5 decades that came afterwards.
Yeah.
So to be young now, you've got so much music
I know.
at your fingertips. It's incredible.
Yeah. And And that's a whole nother conversation.
Well, yeah, it's also can be working against people like us, can't it?
What's coming down the line for you two?
We don't know yet, do we? See, I'm very much a day at a time person. If I can get through to bedtime, I'm like, tick that box, I'm winning today.
Honestly, I'm constantly trying to plan his life, and it's like, no, that is a
true.
day-to-day thing.
This is true.
I mean, you're working on new music. Where it will end up,
Who knows?
who knows? I've been so flat out with work that getting me to sing anything recently is like non-existent. But you've almost got a whole nother album sitting there.
Well, not really. I mean, they're very early stages. I've got lots of bits of music and bits of melodies, but don't know what they are yet. I'm just tinkering because I can experiment and see what comes, see what flows.
Are people asking about maybe performing live?
Yes, they do.
All the time.
Yeah, we'd love to, but unfortunately, it's just not financially viable, and we're too time poor. With a 10-year-old who's got severe allergies, who deserves to have his parents present, he has to come first.
Yeah.
When he's more independent, manages his medical situation, and is a bit older, then
We'll be gigging in wheelchairs.
I'd love to go and perform again, but there just isn't the time at the moment.
Yeah.
I think it'll come.
It's costly as well. You've got to put a lot of time into getting a band around you to go and perform these songs. And to start with, your fan base is spread out across every city. So you're going to get...
Or country in our case.
Well, country, yeah. We're sending records all over the world, but there might only be 2 in Sydney. So it's kind of like, where do you gig? Because you might only get 10 people turn up for your gig wherever you go.
We have to look at the... But it's really hard because people go, oh, would you come to Manchester? Could you do London? Well, there's 3 of you in Manchester and 2 of you in London and 1 of you in Brighton. So where the heck do you go and do a gig? Because you can't expect everybody to come to one place.
And then you put a gig in, and I know this because I've gigs for 30 odd years. You put a gig in, everyone's like, yeah, come on, do a gig. You put a gig in, and they're like, I can't come, the football's on.
It's so bloody British, isn't it?
Yeah. So I'm like, well, at the moment, I'd rather just make records until we've got more time.
Sure. That makes sense.
I understand. But on the same token, it's like the Beatles and XTC made more interesting records when they stopped gigging. And I can totally see why.
Yeah.
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 Bands restrict themselves when they're thinking about playing live at the same time as they're making a record. They make a record that they can play live.
Right.
And they're not using the tools to the fullest effect, really, I don't think.
This will make you laugh. I suggested just doing a little acoustic gig.
Yeah.
And the look on his face at the suggestion of not having a guitar plugged in, no drummer.
No.
It was like, are you insane? And I was like, well, no, I've been to heaps of lovely little acoustic gigs. And he's just like, don't talk to me. Just get out of my face.
I'm not a fan of acoustic gigs. It's like, I don't know, I've seen so many and it all just blurs into one. Unless it's a band you really, really love and you know all their songs and their primary material is acoustic. So it was like a Nick Drake, someone like that, or an Elliott Smith. And you go, yes, because that's what you do.
Right.
But to go and see a band that's got an expansive sound do an acoustic gig, I don't want to see that. No thanks.
He's so bloody fussy, honestly.
Hey, he's keeping it real, and I appreciate that.
He's keeping me in check.
Last question here. In your opinion, what has been one of the most rewarding aspects of your journey so far, personally or professionally?
I think in recent years with us making music, I think it's the genuine support of real music fans is the most rewarding part of it. When you've got, nobody's like us making music that people fall in love with and share it and listen to it and tell you what they love about it. And you've touched their life in some way with your music. I don't think you can get any more rewarding than that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And personally, for us, we've got music that will be around forever and that we can leave to Jack. And I mean, at the moment, he hates it and he thinks we're terribly uncool and boring.
He does bop along to some of the tracks.
Oh, yeah. When
you catch
you're
him
watching.
singing to it. Yeah, you catch him singing to it.
But otherwise, we're really uncool. But I hope by the time he's like 40, that he looks back and goes, this is really cool. My parents made a record.
Well, that's the thing. He'll always be able to hear his parents singing together on a record. Long after we're gone, he's always got that he can go back to. And he'll remember that time in his childhood when we were making these records. And that's a memory that not many kids really are going to have, are they?
No, it'll be hilarious too, because he'll be tortured with bad YouTube videos for the rest of his life.
Yeah. Look at my dad's dancing. He's a shocker.
But you get to a point where, like, especially for me, because this was all quite new to me not that long ago, I've gotten to an age where I don't really care what people think. Carla's much more aware, probably because he deals with all of the social media side of things.
Sure. Yeah.
He's so much more aware of people's feedback and who's listening. And, you get all your stats of which radio shows you've been on and things like that. For me, I was terrified doing it the first time. And the second time around, I was sort of like, do you know what? First and foremost, we are doing this for us.
Yes.
And for the people that we know love this music, which is awesome. But there's always going to be people out there who don't. You cannot win them all. Music's like pizza. You're not going to get the right flavor for everybody. Right. And for me, I think that's fine. I don't care if somebody hates it because I am too old to worry about what other people think.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really nice point to get to, where you sort of go, do you know what? First and foremost, we're doing it for us. We're doing it for people we know love it. And you are not going to win every person over, and that's okay, because there's other music out there for people who are looking for different things in their choice of music.
So Kat has been really good for me in this sense because I've always cared too much.
Wow.
And, it could make me anxious, and stuff. But, Kat's normalized this to me that it doesn't matter what people think. We've made a record we love.
Right.
And that's what's important. If you believe in it, then that's it. It's done. And there will be people that won't like it, and that doesn't matter. And, Kat's really helps me with that because I've always struggled with that kind of
self-doubt.
Yeah, I'm crippled with self-doubt often.
Well, you're not just a fucking algorithm.
Yeah.
Right?
But, you run out of years.
Of the music world.
Yeah.
It drives me crazy, and I'm not in the music world. Sure, I help promote artists and spread the good news about bands that I love and appreciate. But, oh my God, if I were a musician and had to follow all that stuff, I would pull my hair out.
Yeah.
I mean, I've kind of resigned myself to the fact that I'm not a content creator. I can't spend 4 hours a day being a content creator to make my band happen or our music happen. I can't do that. That's not me. I'm not going to be that person either. And if that means that we only reach 100 people, then so be it.
Yeah.
I'm not that desperate to sell my soul for being a content creator.
TikTok videos.
Yeah. I mean, I'm on TikTok with Jangle Shot Records and I experiment, but I'm not going to be someone in front of a camera daily making 3 videos a day, pretending to be something I'm not.
Yeah.
I think you get to a point too where you go, life's too short.
Absolutely.
We know too many people who are not here anymore.
Yep.
You have to take a chance and do something that you like.
And enjoy the journey.
Because life's bloody miserable if you're just doing a 9 to 5 that you hate all the time. And if I always think Carl's so lucky that he's got something he is so passionate about, because most people don't have that.
Right.
And if you've got something that you care that much about that keeps you going all the time, keeps you breathing, keeps your brain is constantly ticking over with creating and new music, most people don't have that. So that's a luxury. And if you're approaching or post 50, you start going, shit, I want to make more music and I'm running out of years to do it. So do it now. And people are always commenting, oh my God, you've made 5 records in 5 years. That's a hell of a lot of music to be putting out there. But you get to that point where you're like, if I don't do it now, I'm not going to get a chance. So may as well take it.
My friends, thank you for round 2 of our discussion. I really enjoy this. And if people can't figure out by now the love that you two hold for each other and all the fun exchanges of conversations and words that you use, and obviously the work that you do as musicians, it's such a breath of fresh air. And I love how you're sucking the marrow out of life through all these things. So hats off to you. Where can people find your music?
Bandcamp first and foremost. So we've got the vinyl for sale on Bandcamp. So wonderful label called Subjangle are taking care of the CDs. So Subjangle is run by Darren, who also has Jangle Pop Hub, which is the oracle of Jangle Pop music, the blog. Basically, it's, if you need to find new Jangle Pop, go to Jangle Pop Hub. Yeah. And Darren has a wonderful label called Subjangle, which he just releases CDs on. So he's taking care of the CDs for us.
Are there any left?
I think they're almost sold out. He messaged in the week saying they're almost sold out. So yeah, you need to be quick on that one if you want one.
That's great.
And then we're on all the usual streamers.
All the usual places that we don't need to mention. But, sit around in suits, taking everyone's money, but not giving any to musicians. We don't need to mention those guys.
We're big fans of Bandcamp these days.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
At least, bands have a chance to sell some physical merch there, and people can discover you there and buy music from you there.
And it seems like there's a really nice network going on of people sharing music and gifting music to each other. Like,
someone gifted me music from Bandcamp today. So when you find an album you like, you can either buy it and then you can send it as a gift if you think someone might like it. And not long before we came on the show, I had an email, didn't I? Someone gifted me an album they think I might like. That's
I thought that was really cool. Like somebody he knows listened to an album and went, Carl will like this. I'm going to send it to him. Yeah. Brilliant.
Thank you, Christian. Much appreciated.
Yeah, that's a good place. I want to read one last quote. Here we go. This is by Rick Rubin, who wrote the great book, Creative Act, A Way of Being. This is what he says. Living life as an artist is a practice. You are either engaging in the practice or you are not. It makes no sense to say you're not good at it. It's like saying, I'm not good at being a monk. You are either living as a monk or you are not. We tend to think of the artist's work as the output. The real work of the artist is a way of being in the world. My name is W, host of this podcast feature known as Surprise Cast. And remember this, everyone. Great music is all around us. All you have to do is keep your ears open. Ciao.
Catching up my own